Good morning, Mount Zion, and we welcome all our family and friends along with you this morning. We thank you so much for joining us. We'd also like to wish Happy Father's Day to all our fathers and pray you have a wonderful day. We are so excited that you joined us this morning as we study the gift of wisdom coming from Proverbs chapter 8, verses 8 through 14, 17 to 21. We pray you enjoy our lesson this morning as it is led by Elder Damian Turner.
Good morning, Mount Zion. I'd like to welcome you to Sunday School on this morning. It is June 21st. And let me start off by saying Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who are out there, all the men of Mount Zion. Thank you guys for being examples in our community, and thank you for being great men and great fathers to your own children and those in your community. Today's lesson is going to be the gift of wisdom, and it's going to come from the book of Proverbs, the 8th chapter, verses 8 through 14, and verses 17 through 21. Our aim to change this morning, it says, by the end of this lesson, we will recognize the incomparable value of wisdom, appreciate the difference between the reward of wisdom and the reward of mere wealth, and pursue godly wisdom rather than a substitute. Amen. It is important to value wisdom. As we look at our In Focus story, our In Focus story look at two gentlemen who are in the fire academy, and they're going through drills. And this particular drill that they're going through is called a blackout drill. And these 20 cadets have to go inside a structure that's been designed. They're fully geared up. And so they go inside the structure, and then it's full of smoke, and they're asked to remove their masks. And then as they remove their masks, they stay inside the room, and it is dark, they can't see. Then the instructor tells them, all right, find your way out. So as these men are trying to navigate their way out of the building, and as they come outside, one of the candidates named Arnie says to his companion, his friend, he tells Melvin, I just want to be an EMT. Why do I have to do this? The instructor, hearing what he said, I've been doing this a long time, and I've been alive longer than you, son. And he says, this is business, seconds count, and lives are at stake, including yours. He didn't understand why he had to go through what he was going through, but the instructor was sharing with him some wisdom and experience that he's been through. So his friend Melvin tells him that the instructor had been doing this for over 20 years. And 20 years ago, there was a 5-alarm fire in a piano factory, and no one knew that there were squatters inside of the building. So when the instructor had went inside the building, he found them in the dark where he could not see, and single-handedly pulled those people out who were squatting inside the building. He says he is the best instructor in this academy. What Ernie didn't understand was the instructor was sharing his wisdom from his experience of the things that he has gone through. And that's how it is in life. We go through various things in life, through various trials and tribulations, and when we come out of those, we have valued experience, we have wisdom, and that wisdom is to be shared with those who are coming along behind us so we can tell them about our experience so they don't have to go through the pains and the groanings that we had to go through, but that they can learn from our situations or our mistakes so they can overcome and have an understanding of how they can navigate through their troubles. So it's important that we share our wisdom that we have with someone else. Our keep in mind verse this morning is Proverbs 8, verses 10 through 11, and it reads, receive my instructions and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that they may desire are not to be compared to them. Our keep in mind verse let us know the value of wisdom. It is more profitable to have wisdom than any wealth that we can acquire, because wisdom is eternal. But all those things that we acquire that may be material, it passes away. But our knowledge and wisdom that we gain, it lasts forever. And that will last forever. We can pass it and share it along with anybody who has a willing ear to hear what we have to say. So on this morning, we have two outlines. The first is the pursuit of wisdom. And it's going to cover verses 8 through 14 of chapter 8 of Proverbs. The scripture reads, "All the wisdom of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing forward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that findeth knowledge. Receive my instructions, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. Wisdom dwelleth with prudence, and findeth out knowledge with witty inventions. For the fear of the Lord is to hate pride, and arrogance, and the evil way, and the forward mouth I do hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have strength."
Amen.
Amen. So here, in the pursuit of wisdom, let us look at another verse, Proverbs 4:7. It says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and in all thy getting get understanding." There are many people in this world that have education, knowledge, and instruction, but they do not have understanding. You ever heard of a person that you have all the book sense in the world, but no common sense? You can be smart as a whip, but if you don't have wisdom, your smarts doesn't mean much of anything.
Amen.
It is important to have wisdom, and especially godly wisdom. Godly wisdom. Godly wisdom will carry us far beyond what we can learn or do for our own selves, because we're not depending on our own knowledge, but we're depending on the knowledge and the wisdom of God, which carries us. When we are humble enough to know that we need God's wisdom daily, God is faithful enough to give us the wisdom that we ask for. Is there anything that we're going through in life that we just don't understand or we just can't figure out? God will give us the answer that we need, and also God will supply a person that will help us through the situation, through their knowledge and experience. That's why we should not discount people's experiences and the things that they have gone through, because they have valuable wisdom and intel to share with us. That's why it's important for us as Christians to share our story and how we have overcome and how God has brought us through things, because we have valuable wisdom that can help someone else along that's going through the very same thing that we're going through.
Amen.
That's why it's important that wisdom is a gift that needs to be shared. You know, what good is it to have the wisdom of God and to keep it all to yourself? It does you no good. You know, it's just like having a bottle of water, but then you never take the top off to take a sip. It does you no good if you don't take it in. So it's just like that. We have to be able to take that top off that wisdom that God has given us and pour it into someone else who is willing to receive what we have to say, because we just don't know how much we can help someone else with the knowledge that we have. So we have to get understanding, because we know that wisdom can carry us a mighty long way. Our wisdom is also demonstrated in the decisions that we make. We have to understand that when you're making decisions, whether good or bad, it reflects your wisdom. You know, the decisions you make can not only affect you, but all those who are connected to you in some kind of way. So it is important that we make the right decisions. Now, the decisions that we make is not going to make everybody happy, but we have to make the right decision that we know is going to be helpful for the whole body whom we're making decisions for. I may have to make a decision that's going to be beneficial for my family. Will everybody in my family agree with what I have to make a decision about? No. But I have to do what is best for the mass and not just for one person. So everybody can benefit, not just the one person who may not agree. So we have to make right decisions, and we have to be just in the decisions that we make. We can't be selfish in making our decisions. If we apply God's wisdom to our decisions we make, our life becomes rich. We become richer when we make godly decisions, because we're including God in the decisions that we make. But if we're being selfish and only thinking of ourselves, we have a tendency to lead ourselves down that path of destruction, because now we're being selfish, only thinking of self. We're being self-centered. We're not concerned about anybody else's feelings or anybody else's idea. We just locking people out and we're only thinking about what we want. And sometimes what we want is not best for everyone else, because sometimes we're only thinking with a me complex. It's all about me, myself, and I. We're not worried about anybody else. And in doing that, we don't help anybody else. And sometimes we don't even help our own selves. We just put ourselves deeper in debt, trouble, or despair because of the poor decisions we're making by being selfish, only looking out for our own selves. But it is very important that the decisions we make, we have to make those decisions through prayer by communicating with God, and also seeking wise counsel from a seasoned elder or a mentor. That's why it's very important that we have somebody that we can always go to help us in making decisions, someone who's seasoned, who's been through some things. I'll never forget when we got ordained, who was being charged, Elder Jordan told us the importance is to have someone you can go to for advice, someone seasoned who can help mentor you, help you make proper decisions, and also we should have someone else that we have a mentee that we can also help along the way. So that cycle of wisdom is continually flowing. So it's very important that we seek wise counsel from godly people. Let me say that again. Seeking wise counsel from godly people, because some advice is not always good advice, but you want people to have right intent when making decisions, because sometimes we can get some advice that sounds very good, but it also can be the wrong advice. So we're talking about godly wisdom here. So we want to seek godly people that have godly wisdom that's going to make sure we're making the best decision and not being selfish in our own motives of what we're trying to do. If we forsake wisdom and understanding, our lives leads toward the path of destruction. And this is us willingly not wanting to take or listen to sound advice, but want to do our own thing. And that's when we go down that downward spiral, and then we make poor decisions, bad decisions, and then we keep wondering why things are not going the way that we want them to go. It's constantly like you're constantly hitting your head up against the wall till you almost pass out, and then you're still doing it, but you don't even feel the effects of it because you're so used to it happening. Just like, well, it's just the same thing. It's constantly happening. It's called insanity. It's the same thing happening over and over again, and you keep getting the same results. But then sometimes you got to realize, maybe I need to make a change. And sometimes that change has to start with us, because sometimes we like to blame everything around us and everybody else for why things didn't go the way we thought it should go. But then first we have to look within. Am I making the right decisions? What are the motives for my decision? Am I using sound wisdom? Am I using good judgment? And 9 times out of 10, we keep having the same result. We're not. So we need to make a change, and that change has to start within us. That's why it's important that we pursue godly wisdom. Wisdom is eternal, and it is meant to be shared. We have to share what we learn with someone else. It's no different from sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, how God has changed our lives. And in a sense, that is wisdom as well, because we're sharing how good God has been and how God has brought us out of our situation and how he turned our life around, and put us on a different path, helping us make wise decisions. And just as important as we are to share that, it is also to share our experiences and the wisdom that God has given us with someone else, because it does us no good just to keep it to ourselves. You just don't understand the joy and the fulfillment you get by sharing your story, your message with someone else who has a willing ear to hear what you have to say. And then they can ask themselves, if he can do it for you, why can't he do it for me? Because we just don't know how things are going in someone else's life. And you just might be the spark they need to get them to go in a different direction, to make some changes and to make some proper, wise decisions. You sharing your story. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to adhere to what you're saying, but that don't mean you don't do it. You don't share. It's important that we continue to share our experiences to help someone else so they can get on the right path. And it says, when we pursue wisdom, we receive the benefits of discernment and good judgment. when you're making wise decisions, you don't just do it in a rush. You always think about it and think about the pros and cons and how things will be beneficial for you and how it's going to help someone else. You know, you always put some thought into it, and you never want to make rash decisions, you know, quick decisions, because that's not being wise. But wise decision making is thinking things over, you know, not just jumping at it because you think this is the right thing I need to do, or this may be the best situation for everybody else. But no, you put thought into it, and then if you're still not sure, you go to some other people, especially if it's going to affect them, and ask their opinion about it. And then you come back, okay, now let me make a decision. I've got all the answers that I needed. I got all the opinions from other people. Now let me make a proper decision that's going to help us all. That's being wise. But when you just jump out there and do your own thing and don't ask anybody, then we begin to make mistakes. And then when things don't turn out the way we think they should, and people come up, why did you do that? And then we get upset, well, I was doing what I thought was best, but we never considered anyone else in our decision making. And then we caused a ruckus, then we got ourselves deeper in trouble, or we just caused the situation to be worse than what it could have been if we just took the time to sit down, think about it, and also got other people's opinion about the situation that may affect them, so we can make the proper, wise decision. When we look at verse 13, it says, the fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride, arrogance, and the evil way. And the forward mouth I do hate. Now, when he's talking about that forward mouth, he's talking about a perverse or crooked person. You know, somebody who just corrupt, the truth ain't in them. But wisdom is saying, I am here, I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to be straight and I'm going to be honest. So it says, if you are to love God and fear him, we won't be drawn to those things that draw people away or draw yourself away from God. So we're going to not be drawn into pride or to arrogance or corruption or to lying, but we're going to be straight. You know, we're going to be on that straight path in wisdom, because we don't want to be going from side to side. You know, as James said, you just toss and driven like a wave. You got to be straight. You got to be straightforward. So that completes our first outline. Now, our second outline, the promise of wisdom. The promise of wisdom. And this looks at verses 17 through 21. Now, verse 17 says, I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, double riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness in the midst of the path of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures.
Amen.
Now, as referring back to James chapter 5, I'm going to read that in just a moment, but wisdom is available for those who want it.
All right.
And it is hidden from those who are willingly ignorant to the truth. Now, James says this in verse 1 of chapter 1, verse 5. He says this, he said, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth it liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. So if you want wisdom, ask it of God, and God will willingly grant it to you. So we have no excuse not to pursue wisdom and to ask God for it when God is willing to give it to us. And all we have to do is ask. As the Bible says, we have not because we ask not. But if we want wisdom, we need to ask God for it, and God will freely give it unto us if we truly desire it. Those who are in leadership need wisdom to rule justly and to make wise decisions for those that they are leading. That's why it's very important in anything, whether you are the leader on your job, a shift lead, or a pastor, or even the lead in your own home. You have to make wise decisions, because Your decisions not only affect you, but it affects those who are connected to you. You know, you never want to be in a position making bad decisions. And when you make those bad decisions, people are not going to say, well, that's okay. No, they're going to come to you and point the finger at you themselves because this is what you've done. You know, it's easy for people to take the credit when things are well. But when the decisions are bad, you're going to be the sole one that's going to take all the brunt of the decisions that you made. Even if you got bad advice, the person who got the bad advice ain't going to take the credit for it. They're going to blame you because you are the one that made the poor decision. So it's important that we be cautious in making good decisions over bad. Because when we make those bad decisions, they're not going to blame anybody else who told you anything. They're going to blame you. So it's important that we hear and listen for the voice of God when it comes to making proper decisions. That's why it's important that we pray and seek God's wisdom, that He may give us the proper answer in the decisions that we're going to make, and for those who are connected to us, that it may affect them. Our choices, whether wise or unwise, affect those who are connected. So whether good or bad, it's going to affect those. Now, in the decisions that we make, even if it's the best for those who are connected, everybody's not going to always agree. Somebody's not going to be happy. But I will feel much better making sure that the decision I made was helpful for the masses than for 2 or 3 that didn't agree. Because I'm doing what is best for the body and not just for 1 or 2 people, just to keep them happy. Because truth be told, everybody's not going to be happy with the decision we make, whether good or bad. But we have to make the proper decision that it may benefit the body as a whole instead of a couple people. So that's why it's important that we always seek God in our decision making before we just get up there and then just go ahead what we think is best or what other people may think is best. But we always seek godly counsel. And then sometimes if you feel that God is not moving fast enough in helping you make a decision, that's why God connected us with people who have been around longer than us, who've been doing things a little longer than we have, that we can go to them, ask their opinion. How could I do this a little bit better, or can you help me in where I should go in this situation? And we just listen to their wise counsel. And if it makes sense, we may want to go that direction. If you still having trouble and it don't make sense, there's nothing wrong with then taking your time, and just waiting. I'd rather wait than make a poor decision that's going to cause hurt or harm to those around me. So it's important that we be wise in our decision making and taking our time and not being foolish and rushing in just because we want to give a quick answer to those who might be seeking an answer from us. Lastly, godly wisdom helps us to prosper in every area of our life. We can have all the money in the world, all the things that we have desired, we can have, but if we don't have wisdom, we'll mess all of it up. When you look at Solomon was one of the richest men in the Bible, but he had wisdom. Because when God gave him wisdom, God could have gave him anything that he desired. He asked God for wisdom, which was one of the smartest things he could have asked God for, because with his wisdom, he's able to judge righteously and able to help his people in a way that he probably couldn't if he only just had wealth. Because you got to be able to help people in a way that's going to be measured across equally. So it's important, especially when you're in leadership, that you have godly wisdom, because we got to help people help themselves. It does you no good to God give you all these resources and you do nothing with them. But you have to have righteous judgment and wisdom in order to dispense it out, that you can help God's people. So you have to be wise in decision making, because God just didn't give it to you just to keep it to yourself, but you have to use it wisely in order to help God's people. God can bless you with so many different things, and it does you no good for you to leave it sitting in your garage and you do nothing with it. If I have a set of furniture that just sitting in my garage, I don't use it, but I know a family down the street that needs it, It does me no good to keep it, and I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to hoard it, just let it sit there and collect dust. But if I take that what I have and give it to those in need and be a help to them, you know, God's going to bless me for it. You know, the things that I do here, I'm not looking to be rewarded, but I know one day I'm going to go up there to be with Him, and my reward is waiting on me there. As the old people say, I'm just sending up my timber. You know, that's our goal here on earth, to do good, that we may please our Father in heaven, that He may be glorified. Not for our own glory, but for His glory. Because what I do down here, if I never get a pat on the back, I know I've done it for Him. And that's all I want Him to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. If nobody else thanks me, long as He thanks me, I'll be okay. Because I know I'm doing it for Him and not for myself. That's why it's important that we have godly wisdom. Because if I'm doing this of my own will and for my own judgment, if you don't thank me or give me a pat on the back, I'm going to be mad and I ain't going to fool with you no more. But if I'm doing this for God, if you never thank me, I know I'm doing it for the right reason. I'm doing it for Him, because I know in the end, God is the one who's going to bless me. God is the one who's going to supply me with riches that I can't even fathom, because He is my supply. Not you, not your accolades or your congratulations, but God is. That's why when you have godly wisdom, things like that won't bother you when people don't thank you or don't say you're doing an excellent job. You know the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And that's why we continue on to do what we do. Because we did only what people say we did well or give us a pat on the back, you'll always keep looking for something from people that you'll never satisfy anybody. Because everybody will not be happy with what you do. Everybody's not going to thank you. You'll be around here miserable, mad because nobody thanked me. Nobody said I did a good job. I cooked all that food. Nobody said it was good. Nobody patted me on my back and said, well, excellent job. I cleaned the church. They ain't said a word. But we do it because we have the love of God in our hearts. Not because of what people say, but because we know that God is good and we know that God is going to take care of us in our decision making. So that completes our two outlines today: the pursuit of wisdom and the promise of wisdom. I pray that you all got something from this lesson on today, and I pray that God continues to bless you all, and that He bless your household. And I'd like to say to everyone out there, appreciate all those fathers out there today. Let them know how much you appreciate them, and I'm pretty sure there's some men out there who have some good wisdom they can share with someone, and just take the time out to listen to their story and watch how you be blessed when you hear from their experience. But I'd like to say again, Happy Father's Day to all the men of Mount Zion. Continue to do those great things that you've been doing, and I just want to say God bless you, and continue to move forward and be blessed in the Lord. Amen. See you next time.
We thank you so much for being a part of our study this morning. We pray you truly enjoyed yourselves. We invite you to join us next Sunday morning as we study Wisdom Feast, coming from the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, verses 1 through 6, 9 through 10, and 13 through 18. We also invite you to join us this morning for our parking lot worship service, a special Father's Day celebration, and just to thank God for His goodness and His mercy. Join us this morning at 10:15 a.m. We also pray you have a wonderful week. God bless you, and we love you.